Welcome back to CoinWins again, Justin Blends. Today I want to talk about a few critical things. Now, right as we speak, the world is changing. Digital assets are becoming more and more accepted. And of course, AI is essentially the main, let's say, driver of that. We discussed X402 payments, the system multiple times in these last few videos over here. So you guys are totally aware of Coinbase's influence on the world, essentially. I don't want to just limit it to any part of politics or any part of finances. They are a huge part of the system or the economy, politics, everything. And X402 payments are going to rocket, bring everybody on board, like it or not, right, guys? Of course, join the group right here. Join the group. That's all I'm going to say. I want to show you something and prove that I'm not making this up. There is something that is actually being forced upon you and I as we speak. And the information has come from none other than the top leaders of the world in Davos, Switzerland. You guys take a listen for yourselves.
Importantly, this year. Thankfully, this group is meeting under better economic circumstances than during the pandemic. But once again, we're forcing very serious different economic conditions around the world.
We are forcing very different economic conditions around the world. Forcing, okay? So the Senate has advanced the crypto bill along party lines. So what this is all about is pretty simple, all right? We're looking for the Clarity Act, Stablecoin bill, all of this stuff, the market structure. We want to make sure that it's perfectly in sync. And I'm saying we, they, everybody wants to make sure that it's perfectly in sync so that the money can start flowing into the markets. Let's dive in a little bit deeper. So pretty much today, or the 29th of, January 2026, the U.S. Senate Agriculture Committee voted 12-11, Republicans to Democrats, to advance the Digital Commodity Intermediaries Act. So this establishes CFTC, or the CFTC, oversight for digital commodities and spot crypto markets. Okay? Now, there's of course a party divide because no Democratic support was there due to anti-money laundering concerns, issues, and political, profiteering concerns. Of course, we saw Trump launch many tokens, right? So, he launched a couple of tokens, at least his family did. And they don't really like that, even though a lot of us think it's bullish. I told you guys on the channel, as a matter of fact, that what are you waiting for? I said you could be trading with Trump somewhere down here. I'm sure I'd said it's this one right here. I said USD1. I said World Liberty Financial. What are you waiting for? It's literally right there. Some people took me up on it, and I know for sure because they reached out. And they got their first allocation and they made out, pretty nicely on that. So congratulations to you. Let's just carry on, right? So essentially now the bill heads to reconciliation with the Senate banking committees, SEC focused measures before the full Senate vote. It doesn't matter. It's already being advanced bit by bit. Okay. And it's of course considered to be progress for legal certainty in cryptos, which we're going to dive in more into why this matters with real world assets, with actual visual proof, okay? So what are some of the challenges? Of course, it requires some bipartisan backing. Obviously, we want to see that. Right now, it's under President Trump, and that's likely not going to happen. There's so much backlash and turmoil. People don't like the tariffs. Even though I asked the simple question to a lot of people, I just simply asked the question, and I want you to ask yourselves the same question. Ask yourself this question. If you started a nation today and you only had two choices, tariffs or taxes, what would you choose? Now, of course, it's a ridiculous question because you don't have to do either, not necessarily, potentially, but if you had to choose, what's your choice? I'm curious. There's no right or wrong answer, but I'm super curious to know what your choice is. I think a lot of people would have a hard time figuring out what they would choose if they only had two choices and when they're speaking to a group of people. But in their own heart of hearts, are you going to tax your own people or are you going to tax people from other countries to sell in your country? It's a tough one. there's no right or wrong answer necessarily, but it's a real tough one. So the Senate bill builds essentially on the House's Clarity Act. Okay, so I want you to understand exactly how this affects the Clarity Act, because a lot of people want that. So what it would do is it'll divide the SEC and the CFTC oversight, which pretty much, banning CBDCs for monetary policy. So the overlaps between these two, the Clarity Act as well in this, is that it incorporates digital commodity definitions, consumer protections, and platform registrations, but narrows to CFTC intermediaries, right? So what do we need to see? We need to see DeFi addressed. Okay, illicit finance, stablecoin yields. As we know, stablecoin yields are kind of a bigger problem right now, right? Banks want that yield. They don't necessarily want to give it up. It's the reality. Otherwise, maybe banks just become irrelevant. But we might be getting more into micro banks and all these things. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. So stablecoin yield, is a unified situation. So we'll see, right? And of course, the clarity, what this emphasizes is it's a focus on investor protections, secondary markets, securities laws, exemptions, and things of that nature. So these two acts, these two laws together will make for absolute clarity and will allow money to flow in. Now, the thing that gets interesting is when I think about real world assets, okay? And I think about what is on chain right now, all of the various blockchains. Now, this does include stablecoins. So this number is crazy, the greenest stablecoins. Okay, as you see right here, greenest stablecoins, there's a lot of assets on chain, a lot of real world assets. But even if we remove the stablecoins, because it kind of makes this chart look a little ridiculous, right, to read if it's all loaded up with stablecoins. But you can clearly see that there are still there's a lot of growth. Now the transfer volume isn't super high right now. It's not, it's okay. It's growing. I mean, it's growing. Okay, you see active addresses. Now, if I put this on for the stable coins and I look at things like transfer volume, things aren't looking super hot necessarily, but you can clearly see that the total volume is just constantly up and to the right, right? This is super critical to know. And I wouldn't get confused by what's happening on Canton blockchain as if to say it's just all this hidden money just waiting to erupt into the markets. Like maybe, that's a maybe. They have a huge market share, but that's kind of still a maybe. All right, it's still a maybe. Because if you look at the assets that are on the chain, it's not really a lot of different stuff, zero stablecoin holders. Like it's not just like loose money that's just trying to go flowing. Like I'm saying maybe. So a lot of people have been discussing this idea. I think people need to look a little bit further. 1 RWA, 0 stablecoin. I mean, so it's not like stablecoins are just waiting, ready in private on this private blockchain, just waiting to just be unloaded on the markets to just buy Ethereum to the moon. Guys, there's a reason why I created CoinWins, and it's because the research has been so deep over the years, going on roughly something like 8 years of this to date. So the research here goes beyond virtually any other website, any other tool, any other influencer, whatever you want to call it, like that I've personally seen, any other investor, any other trader. Because what I did in this is I got to understand that fundamental analysis is so critical, but it only brings you to the right door. It doesn't bring you to the right door at the right time. You can still arrive to the party early. You can also arrive to the right party late. So this is why I created this, because it's a hybrid of, first of all, it's advanced research simplified, but it's a hybrid of fundamental analysis and market maker technical analysis. I'm not talking about retail chart patterns. This is real market maker type of moves, not just what we call manipulation. It's the deliberate act of moving price into specific target zones for a dedicated, deliberate purpose. Okay, so sign up for free. The link is, of course, in the description of the video as well as the bio. Sign up for free. It's a gamified experience, and I assure you it's going to help you get to the next level. And if you join that, you also might as well join the community, which is also at the link in the description. and bio. It's a brand new group I created. Not too new. It's not too old, whichever way. It's only been a little while that we launched this. And I'm only showing this to you guys for maybe the second time now. So join, okay? And when you get in here, join the classroom and take the digital asset strategy course. This is the foundation. I must explain to you super quickly and clearly that this is the foundation for anybody who's advanced or even a super new person to this market. You taking this course is going to put you ahead of virtually everybody. Not that I know everything, it's just I know it works. I learned a lot and I spent a lot of time and money diving in, learning, and I put all of it in here so that you don't have to get wrecked. So let's look at the Bitcoin price, and it's the same target that I had set from many months ago. Okay. No, like this was a month ago. It's more like 2 months ago, to be honest, at this point, but that's fine. Since around April, I set this target, and I dare I say knew that price was coming back here. Not because of any type of retail chart pattern of any sort. It's understanding how the market maker moves the price. Okay. And you see how price has come right into my caution zone, meaning buy here cautiously. We're now releasing the trap traders. So the chances of us coming even lower is even higher. It doesn't mean that we're coming below this danger line, but once I see price drop below this danger line, then I'm looking for targets around 63, 69, potentially even lower. And that's not a bad thing. The sooner we get this done is the sooner we can buy it up and we can all be merry. I want us all to win in this, in this market. So guys, of course, look, let's win together. CoinWins, Justin Blends. Let's do it. All the best.